Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7. Joy 99.7.
National Security has busted a 13-member gang involved in the printing and distribution of fake currency notes. The gang often target unsuspecting victims, mostly foreign nationals. The statement issued by the National Security Secretariat said the gang, led by Yassei Alia, a 45-year-old Syrian resident in East Legon and owner of Hartford Auto Service in Accra, were rounded up in a warehouse within the premises of Charter Cargo and a freight forwarding company near KLM within the Kotoka International Airport. Now, freshly printed $10,000 bundles of fake 100 notes concealed in two large metal trunks and a suitcase were retrieved from the warehouse. My colleague Latif Idris joins me in the studio with more on this. Latif, does the statement explain how the gang operates?
Yes, Ernest, it does. And so according to the statement from the National Security, the group's modus operandi, according to intelligence gathered so far, indicates that they suggest that these individuals lure unsuspecting victims with claims that they have access to millions of US dollars back in Libya. Now, this is what they do. Victims are given genuine sums of US dollars to spend for free. So first they give you money, that is US dollars, to go and spend for free as proof of the genuineness of the deal. Now, once you buy into that and you are convinced, victims are requested to deposit huge sums of US dollars as freight charges to aid the shipment of the said dollars from Libya to the victims. Now, upon receipt of the amount, the suspect, they are packaged US dollars. These are fake US dollars and are given to the victims to go and spend. Now, that is when you are caught, when you go out there to spend these, amounts of US dollars. So officials of national security have assured Ghanaians that government is determined to rid the country of fake currency syndicate and warn that persons involved in the illegality will be arrested and dealt with accordingly. Ernest.
Latif, thank you very much for bringing us those details on that arrest made by the National Security. Now, major parts of the northern regional capital, Tamale, are without electricity for close to 24 hours. Power supply was cut to areas such as Lamshegu, the UDS Bundungu campus, and industrial area over the weekend. It is unclear what caused the outage. Let's go live now and speak to correspondent Martina Bugri for more on this. Martina, tell us about this situation and how widespread it is.
We are told that NECO has some challenges, and so some areas are gone out. But there was also a rainstorm yesterday, and some electric poles were pulled down, and so several areas have also been affected. If you take the Taha.
Radio, Joy 99.7.
has it been like in the last few weeks?
We have had some challenges. They're on and off. It goes on and off, very frequent. There's not two stable ones. I remember 2 weeks ago there was a particular day went off and on for over 17 times in 30 minutes, and that was a bit of a lot of people experienced. It wasn't just one community.
How many times did you say?
It went off and on like 17 times within 30 minutes, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then not only one area, almost all the entire metropolis suffered that issue. But we're told that was something that had to do with GridCo. And so NETCO said they didn't have control over it. I must say that, yes, some areas have challenges, but some areas too are fairly stable.
Martina, thank you very much. Up to speed on the situation in the Northern Regional Capital, Tamale. We're able to speak to the Corporate Communications Manager of NETCO, and he joins us on the line. Thank you very much, Maxwell Kotoka, for your time here on Newsnight. Can you tell us exactly what is accounting for the outages in these areas? Hello, Mr. Kotoka, can you hear me? Hello, sir? We seem to have a challenge with the line that would rectify that and speak to the Corporate Communications Manager of NETCO, Maxwell Kotoka, to help us understand what is happening in the Northern Regional Capital, Tamale, where some parts of that city and the metropolis, I should say, have been without electricity for close to 24 hours. And as you heard there, my colleague Martina Bugri described to us the situation. They've had to deal with erratic power supply in the last few weeks. Many of them unhappy about the situation. NETCO, according to Martina's sources, is attributing this to some challenges at the end of GridCo, but we'll have Maxwell Kotoka explain to us exactly what is happening and what NETCO intends to do going forward. We'll do that subsequently in the bulletin. But let's move on to some other stories now. And government is being urged to ensure an independent and diverse media free from harassment. Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, says in addition to the financial challenges facing media organizations arising from the COVID-19 pandemic, issues of abuse still persist. The issue has been topical here in Ghana in the last few weeks following a speech by statesman Sam Jonah on whether there was a return of the dreaded culture of silence. The world is today marking Press Freedom Day. There's more in the following report.
In April 2018, the Media Foundation for West Africa listed 17 instances where journalists...
Joy 99.7.
freedom in Ghana and whether or not it is under attack. Here's what he told us.
I do not think that the Ghanaian media is under.
Super Hits Radio. Joy 99.7.
Good. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says pressmen can only provide information to the public if they are free from harassment.
During the pandemic and in other crises, including the climate emergency, journalists and media workers help us navigate a fast-changing and often overwhelming landscape of information.
Super Hits Radio. Joy 99.7.
About the power outages in the Tamale metropolis. We're joined by the corporate communications manager of NEDCO, Maxwell Kotoka. Good evening and thanks for joining us, sir.
Good evening, Ernest, and thank you for having me.
Great. And so major parts of the metropolis have been without power. Just a while ago, Martina updated us that some of them have received electricity again. What is accounting for the outages in those areas?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Indeed, it is true.
Hello, Mr. Kotuka. I think you have to reposition yourself. We have a terrible connection to you. Hello, sir. Well, we seem to have lost him there. We'll try the lines again. And once we have Mr. Maxwell Kotoka on the line, we'll speak to him about the situation in the northern region. From the Tamale, let's go to the northeast region. The remains of an illegally killed elephant at Wungu in the northeast region has been dismembered and its meat disappeared. Regional wildlife officers were unable to get hold of the carcass after some unidentified persons killed it and made away with it. Now, it is suspected residents in the community may have devoured the meat. Meanwhile, regional wildlife manager for the northern region, Joseph Bin Lala, says the killing is unexpected as the area is a usual migratory route for the elephant from Burkina Faso to the Mole National Park. Now, according to him, killers will be hunted down and made to face the law. He spoke to my colleague Daniel Dazi on the Pulse on the Journeys channel.
Unfortunately, when we got wind of the crime and
Super Hits Radio. Joy 99.7.
About the whereabouts of this animal.
People who came to represent the chief left the scene. The people started butchering the animal.
Hits Radio. Joy 99.7.
A better connection to Mr. Maxwell Kotoka, the Corporate Communications Manager for NEDCO. Mr. Kotoka, you were just explaining to us what reasons there are for the outages we're seeing in Tamale.
Yeah, thank you. I think it was a bad line, but like I was saying, we have had a myriad of issues, challenges in the recent past. Greco lost an equipment at their 330 kV substation, which is the bulk supply point for us. And so it was not possible for them to evacuate power to us from there. In addition, just before then, NEDCO itself had also lost some underground cables. And then there was a storm last night. There was one a couple of days before then. All these have connived to make the power supply situation rather, unfortunately, terrible in the recent past. Now, what have we done about the various situations? As we speak, NEDCO has secured a underground cable fault detector, which is on the ground working. In fact, it has detected the faults, and we are working currently to repair them. It is our expectation that in the next couple of hours, latest within the next 12-24 hours, we should have sorted that out. Our brothers, Greco, have assured us that they will be able to replace the equipment in a very good time, at least within the week. The storms of a couple of days back and yesterday have made matters worse for us. They have given us localized problems here and there. Those ones are localized problems, and so we are trying to attend to them as well.
And so you're saying that all the outages, Mr. Kotoka, you're saying that the outages preceding what happened this weekend as a result of localized outages and not because, or not part of the national problem that we're facing?
Not at all, not at all, not at all. However, I need to quickly explain that these problems together have made it impossible for us to serve everybody at the same time. You see, the 330 kV bulk supply point brought us a lot of relief because before then we were receiving from a 161 kV substation. Obviously, the 330 gives us greater relief because it brings the power at a higher voltage and we are able to manage the demand. Between when we moved from the 161 kV substation to the 330 kV substation, the load has increased. And yet, under the circumstances, we are compelled to revert to the 161 kV station, which already was depressed. And so the situation is that we are bringing a bigger load to a more restrained outlet. And so we cannot serve everybody at the same time. But given that all these things happen at about the same time, we ourselves were not very clear how to manage the situation, not how to manage, but how to share the load or to manage the load at any particular time. We needed to experiment it and to see how many feeders it will be possible for us to pick at a particular time. And so for the next 2 or 3 days that came, we had to manage the load on as the need was basis. And so it was not possible for us to get a schedule to tell everybody that today this feeder is going, tomorrow that feeder is going. So far, that's what we have done. We are continuing today. Latest by tomorrow, we would have had a firm grasp of the situation. If it becomes necessary, we will issue a detailed or a structured schedule. But for now,
so residents can look forward to that
when the need arises.
And so residents can look forward to a timetable or a schedule, a load shedding schedule.
I would say yes and no. They can look forward to a schedule if the situation pertains beyond tomorrow. But we are, like I said, we are working on all the challenges, and so it may or may not happen. We ourselves are also studying the situation closely. As we speak, there is a feeder that should have gone off, but it has not gone because a close monitoring of the situation tells us that we can keep them on and keep the system healthy.
Very
and
well.
so they haven't gone off. If it becomes tight later in the night, there's a feeder that will go off. Those are just guidelines. But to get a detailed schedule, we would have to still study the situation a little further.
Well, let's
so
see
we
how
are saying,
let's see
we
how
are
this
saying
pans
that in the
out.
next day or two, if it becomes necessary, fine. So there's a caveat.
Very well, and we'll be following this. We hope we'll come back to you, Mr. Kutuka, for an update of the situation. That's the Corporate Communications Manager for Netco. You're listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. It's now time for business, and George Yafe joins us with the very latest. Hello, George.
Hi, Kojo, and coming up in business, President Akufo-Addo reaffirms the government's commitment to improve business environment to attract more global firms, as well as support the expansion of local businesses to other countries. And oil marketing companies promise to fully implement the proposed taxes and levies on petroleum products. Let's now settle for the details. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, and Allianz Live. Let's now get more details on the stories. And President Akufo-Addo has affirmed the government's commitment to improve the business environment and attract more global firms into the country. Now, this follows the decision of Twitter to set up its Africa operations headquarters in Ghana. President Akufo-Addo has been speaking to CNN on other incentives being put in place to make the system more conducive for Ghanaian firms to expand to other countries.
What it is that what we're trying to do here in Ghana is to create a level playing field for businesses, whether foreign or domestic, so that people can feel free and can feel confident about investing in our economy. Because, first of all, we are trying to manage the economy in such a way that there is stability in the economy and in the way in which businessmen and individuals can make decisions. We're creating in Ghana an atmosphere, an ecosystem that allows, before Twitter came, Google last year, I believe it was 2019, established its first artificial intelligence center in Africa, in Ghana. This is some 18 months even before Twitter came. And we are doing they're recognizing that this Ghanaian state is stable.
I want to talk about illegal gold mining. This is where foreigners come to Ghana, they take over land illegally, they mine for gold, it leads to violence and, of course, deforestation as well. What steps are you making to tackle?
We're determined to come to grips with it. In fact, this week, a major operation has been authorized by me, by the armed forces, to clear our river. So we're having to take some very strong measures to try to come to grips with it.
And that was President Akufo-Addo speaking to CNN. Two other stories on oil marketing companies have given the firm assurance of implementing the proposed taxes and levies on petroleum products. Now, fuel prices should have gone up by as much as 50 pesos per litre from May 1, 2021. However, Joy Business Check showed that most of the oil marketing firms are yet to adjust their prices. Now, this has raised concerns about compliance among these companies, but Chief Executive of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Kukwaji Mandua, maintains that the necessary amendment will be made from tomorrow.
Oh, sure, yeah, because these are the new tax and levies measures that's announced by government. They come to full force tomorrow. So, price has collected. We need to make sure that we collect fully for the states. And so, price accordingly.
What has been the practice? We knew that Parliament approved just 30 pesos. We've seen in the letter that MPA has also revised their levies as well. Is it in line with its mandate to do that?
MPA, there are some portion of the levies or taxes which are supposed to be approved by Parliament. And there are some margins to which they don't need parliamentary approval. And that emanates from the MPA. They look at it and do it themselves. So, for us, all that we have to do is to be able to
Association of Oil Marketing Companies. And Kojo, maybe you should look forward to tomorrow morning if you drive to that service station, be prepared to pay maybe
Some
about
more.
50 pesos more, 53 pesos more per liter on petrol or diesel.
Very interesting. And George, just before you go, I know last year, Presec, you were talking about 6.
Yeah, we are now talking about 7, Kojo, because we know that we're going to hit the 7 mark.
Well,
and 7 is the perfect number.
Well, your neighbors, West African Secondary School, they are claiming this time the trophy will come home.
Oh.
And Maxwell Alaba has been speaking to them. He spoke to Samuel Bedi and Michael Gariba, who are representing the school this year.
I'm 100% sure, but we leave everything to the Most High God, and He.
Super Hits Radio. Joy 99.7.
Secondary School, who are representing them this year at the 2021 National Science and Maths Quiz. You want to join us on Joy News on all our platforms, radio, TV, online, and with the hashtag NSMQ on Joy as we bring you update of this year's competition. That's our show for tonight. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com, and when you go there, you'd create an atmosphere that is more tolerant of criticism and devoid of intimidation. That's Mahamatu Ekufuado. Police investigates Christ Embassy pneumatic night after social media outrage. You find that story there. And one person dies after fire raises a slam at Asafo. And that's it. My name is Ernest Manu. Enjoy the rest of our programs.